new shit has come to light. Man, she kidnapped herself.
It's times like these where I seriously question whether reality is real or not, but then I immediately get hit with the bucket of cold water and realize that yes, this is a real ass news story that broke, and yes, humans really can be this goddamn stupid. As the headline says, an Alabama woman named Carlee Russell recently admitted to faking her own kidnapping after literal mountains of evidence were released by the authorities, which even included her fucking browser history, where she researched things like how to pay for an Amber Alert and how to take money from a register without being caught. And I'm not sure what about that revelation is worse, the fact that she didn't use incognito mode, which, you know, wouldn't have helped tremendously, but she wouldn't have been caught right away, or the fact that she didn't delete her browser history, which, I mean, she's still stupid either way, but again, I don't know what makes her look worse. Now, the extremely elaborate and well thought out plan behind this fake kidnapping was that Carlee made a phone call to 911 saying that she pulled over onto the side of the highway and found an abandoned toddler wandering around, but then soon after she mysteriously disappeared, which is so unrealistic because even if that toddler was real, it would not have survived for as long as it did. Like, that little shit would have walked right onto the highway and been hit 20 times over. Horrendous cover story aside, there are a shit ton of talking points that center around the aftermath of this case, like what her motivations were, attention, how much money was spent looking for her and also investigating her, how disrespectful Carlee's actions were towards black women that actually do go missing and are never found. And then there's my personal favorite, and the one I want to discuss further in this video, which is how involved Carlee's parents were with this entire situation. So Carlee's parents did an interview with Today's Show that happened before Carlee admitted that the entire kidnapping was a hoax, where they detailed what happened after their daughter returned after being missing for 48 hours. Now, whether or not Carlee's parents were directly involved with planning and executing this hoax with Carlee, I'm not 100% sure, but there's something about the way they word their answers that just doesn't sit right with me, and I don't think it can be chalked up to just horrible phrasing. Alright, let's start.
What did you do when you saw her?
We tried to hug her as best we could, but I had to stand back because she was not in a good state. So we had to stand back and let medical professionals work with her.
That's just kind of a weird detail to throw in there, that you tried to hug her as best you could, and you don't have anything else to add other than, oh, she just wasn't in a good state, so we let the medical professionals take care of her. Again, this interview was conducted before Carlee admitted everything was a hoax, but for the sake of example, let's say that the kidnapping was 100% true and Carlee desperately needed medical attention when she returned home from her mysterious disappearance. If you knew she was quote-unquote not in a good state, why did you immediately rush in and try to hug her? In that moment, her health should have been prioritized, not you giving her a hug.
What happened Saturday night? Did you just get a knock at the door?
Anything leading to the case itself, we can't discuss that.
But you saying as soon as she walked through the door you tried to hug her as best you could, but she was not in a good state so she needed medical attention can be mentioned? Okay, cool, got it.
She's having to deal with the trauma of people just making completely false allegations about her.
Yeah, how dare the general public point out the very obvious plot holes that completely invalidate Carlee's story. Pardon us. If Carlee actually was kidnapped and did go through this trauma, I wouldn't be talking about this, but Carlee was the one making these false kidnapping allegations in the first place, so any backlash and negative comments she received were 100% fair game.
Her family now urging the public to let the investigation play out, but mentioning an abductor. Her mother asking to read a brief message to the public.
Carlee has given detectives her statement so that they can continue to pursue her abductor.
Do you believe that there's an abductor still out there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you sure about that? That sounds less like you genuinely believe that there's an abductor out there, and more like you want to believe there's an abductor out there. It seems like the mom is taking everything her daughter says at face value and just hoping she's innocent, because the only proof the parents bring to the table that this actually happened is, oh, well, our precious angel said it, so therefore it's true. I guess you didn't want your daughter to go through public humiliation, but that's a little bit too late for that.
Do you believe she was fighting for her life?
Oh, she definitely fought for her life. There were moments when she physically had to fight for her life, and there were moments when she had to mentally fight for her life.
Well, I believe that second one more than the first one, but still, Jesus Christ. Now, the final thing I want to go over that concerns Carlee's parents is this short and sweet statement the mom released after Carlee admitted that her kidnapping was a hoax, and it reads, "Now is not a good time." So, it was a good time to spill the details of your daughter returning home after going quote-unquote missing, and while the both of you were still in quite an emotional state yourselves, but it's not a good time to even just briefly say, yeah, my daughter fucked up, and that's all I had to say.